Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Empower podcast. We're here with our guest, Lizzie O'Keefe. Hi, Lizzie.
Hello,
All right, and where are you coming to us from, Lizzie?
New Mexico.
New Mexico. All right, everyone. This is the Empower podcast, a podcast run by healthcare professionals for healthcare professionals with goals such as continuing to raise transparency and awareness within the healthcare field and even have legislation passed in the state of Colorado and throughout the whole United States. Employee wellness programs that will be and can be a minimum of 8 wellness days per quarter for all healthcare professionals, a minimum deposit in an HSA account per quarter for all healthcare professionals that is tax exempt at the federal, state, and local levels, and the establishment of an anti-retaliation department run by a third party for all healthcare systems. At Empower, we believe in the power of community, diversity, and inclusivity to create positive change and improve society. Our podcast aims to amplify voices that often go unheard, featuring interviews with individuals and organizations who are making a difference in their communities and beyond. Through thought-provoking conversations and inspiring stories with members of the community just like you. Do you know any healthcare professionals or other people that have a voice? It's one of the reasons why we're here. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We are going out there, everybody. And also, if you could also check out our Ko-Fi, and we have PayPal now as well, and Stripe on Spotify. All right. So, Lizzie and New Mexico. We're going to start the show out here with the big community thank you, which we do. And that can go out to any members of the healthcare community or general community at large. Is there anybody like specifically do a shout out and a thank you to?
I would just like to thank anybody who has entered into my life and made a difference to help me make changes in a positive way, including family, friends, and coworkers.
Lizzie, I pick a part of the show usually, and I'm finding out it's correlated around this time, but I want to thank you very much for that, bringing it up, and being as authentic and genuine as you are with your thank you. And I have to ask myself, Brett, do you feel empowered? And Lizzie, you definitely make me feel empowered. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to see if we could start off for you. What is the integrity of healthcare like for you at a more of a personal level?
Well, it has changed quite a lot. And since COVID, even more. It seems like it's not as personable as it used to be, where you would go directly to a doctor. Now you usually go to a practitioner and sit in the waiting room for a while, and then the doctor arrives and you maybe get a chance to talk to him for about 5 minutes. You kind of feel rushed. But the one I have now is very personable and does take that time to ask me important questions about my life and my health, and I appreciate that. But I know some people don't have that opportunity to have a good doctor that really cares.
Mm-hmm. Or even one that they can see and actually interact with, right?
Right.
That's an interesting distinction. Now, I don't know generationally if you wanted to share what part of history you're coming from, but it sounds to me, if I can offer this, if you can confirm it, you're from a generation where you didn't see these other practitioners in the room, right? It was mainly when you went in, got a boo-boo, got sick, it was you went in, it was doctor, right? Doctor stethoscope, doctor pump up thing on your arm, doctor band-aid, doctor lollipop, like that was it. And it's interesting to see that distinction. And you, I guess it seems and clarify for me too. Do you feel that with the practitioner, mainly because those are registered nurses, do you feel there's a lack of that connection that you felt when you would mainly just speak with the doctor, or does it feel like something different to try on? Does it feel like something you're more apt to continue with because you feel so heard and still have access to your?
Well, the doctor, if I had to make a change, because I know when they get up there in years, they retire, then you have to find another one. Then you're, in that predicament of trying to find somebody new. And then you find out if they even have openings. You kind of have to go through an interview process to get a new doctor. And the other thing is, if whatever illness or ailment you have, they shoot you out to a specialist, then you have to, try to bond with that specialist or try to find a specialist that's covered under your insurance. So that is kind of hectic to go through that, where you are trying to find someone that's covered under your insurance that is going to give you that quality care that you want, via the regular doctor.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And seeing that connection too, I think, and I don't know if you could speak to this too for you, if you see a good connection between your nurse practitioner and your doctor, that's not just, hey, you go do X, Y, and Z, which I'm going to delegate to you, which is are able to do in certain ways is to delegate. But like, do you feel it's more of a, I guess, do you feel like an actual patient in there as compared to an embracer of the ego or the embracer of wrath or any of that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and cinema's kind of turned up the knob in that, where you have, the stressed out doctor that throws their clipboard or speaks to and this is years ago too prior, but it's nice to see this distinction. But you don't see any kind of, I guess, dysfunction when you're in.
I probably see it more with the practitioner or nurse that's handling me, because I don't know what their schedule has been or how many patients they've been overloaded with, because I do know from experience that sometimes they are overworked and underpaid and are working long hours, and you run into that.
Yeah. And then, and you're saying as a patient, you've seen what that impact has on your overall experience within healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So then next into the next question would be, what in your opinion, Lizzie O'Keefe, is happening in healthcare?
Well, I can't really, just from personal experience, I can tell you what I've experienced, but it seems like it's eventually, mostly it's a lot of recording of information, data collecting of information, and it seems like the overworked employees in the healthcare um, area don't give you that quality time, and I have a feeling that's going to change and not get better in the near future.
Mm-hmm. I know if I can share, I knew I still do, a registered nurse who during COVID, she decided to have surgery. And when she did, she was told to go, she followed all the, dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's she was supposed to be within network and whatnot. And when she did, she was, and I get what it is you're saying, if I can share this too, she literally had to wait in her bed when she hit the call light for like, almost an hour. So it was an interesting distinction that as long as the bed alarm was not being set off, it was whatever. But the moment that got set off, forget the call light. Like that was the priority. And to see that that's kind of what it looks like now, and just projections as to what things may come, I guess, what is it you think maybe isn't being fully addressed or is kind of being addressed within the overall process that um that I guess has an impact on the way things are? Is it, would you say, I guess if I had to give examples, would you say it's staffing, it's burnout, or is it like you said? I think you mentioned compensation for the healthcare professional earlier, or would you say it's a culmination?
I would say it was a combination of all those.
Yeah. Wow. And then I don't know if you wanted to share personally what your profession is and if you feel you're compensated for it.
I'm in the educational field, and no, I am not compensated for the experience that I have. And I know they are trying to deal with um, children and trying to help them mentally, but there really isn't anybody in the educational field helping out with the older adults that are, doing their job. that they're not looking at the mental health of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, having somebody available for us to deal with situations that we are dealing with.
Mm-hmm. And I want to acknowledge this, Lizzie, because out of all of just generationally patients that I've taken care of over the years, to hear that you want to make a difference and you can see these things with your employer now that are lacks of integrity, and you're willing to want to be, you're a warrior, and you want to declare it, and you want people to know that you know it, and you want a difference to be made. And that's not only your own dream, that's many others' dreams. And to see that and to declare it now generationally, because this is, I guess this is me, I'll share, folks, is that like generationally it's the thing, is to declare, is that some generations it was, we don't want to talk about it, whatever it was, and it could be literally just a hectic week at work, and they just literally wanted to find another way to handle it. But one of it was, okay, but this door is shut. Whoever it was that they could have told it to, the door was shut, or it was, there wasn't another opportunity provided by society or whoever the employer was of the loved one too. And it's amazing to see. Oh, okay. I'll have to clip that out. Uh, it's amazing to see that distinction of people wanting to finally talk about whatever it is. And it could be, I was reading a book, a way an acronym was ACE, abnormal childhood experience, and whatever they may be. And it could be just someone not being present, someone being busy. And that's the big thing that kids hear is X and X is busy. And then the interesting part is, and I found this too when I went through the educational system here in the United States, was those people I would cling to would be the teachers, the people who I would be able to have time with. And then even then it was like I was one of 30. And it's like, well, geez, I felt like to not even know that what one of 30 was, and to feel like I just still felt like number one no matter what when I interact in personal life, because not everybody gets along, not everybody's supposed to be in love forever. Those things can happen, and that's a part of life. But the interesting part is I think survival and moving forward and wanting to find ways to do that, and that's a journey in and of itself. So I want to acknowledge you for wanting to be on that journey, Lizzie.
Well, can I add to having spoken to older adults, older than my age level, that the circumstances that they've gone through in the healthcare industry, that they feel they can't do anything to change it because they're older and on their way out, so to speak, and they just kind of do give up and just say, it's a change for somebody else to make, instead of standing up for themselves and having those rights to say, hey, I want better health care, I want to have a doctor that cares, I want to have a practitioner that shows that they're interested in hearing what I have to say. I feel like the older generations, older than me, just have pretty much given up on that. They don't see that change, and I feel sorry for them about that. If there's something that I could do, I don't know, but that's why I wanted to come on here and be prepared to stand firm about what I feel is good health care for myself.
Yeah. One of it is knowing you have a voice and a space to do it. And it's nice when there can be these spaces in society and when people can do that in the way that they can. And I'm thankful, not only me, but with the Empower Committee, that we're able to do that too. Because I don't do it alone, folks. I don't.
Well, I appreciate you giving people opportunities to share their viewpoints and have those similar incidents that happen to them, that it's not just them alone, having to deal with what they deal with in the healthcare industry, that they do have a voice.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if you would like to speak to this too, in your experiences, is it's not always about, getting in, finding out what's wrong with it or whatever it is, because it's usually the body, because I look at it as an organic spacesuit, and, it's bound to have things that go wrong, but our souls and what it is that we are and our very essence is another thing. But in that very moment, being able to not only look at what research and everything else is able to do, but that overall aspect of having the practitioner present, just being present to be able to listen and at least to feel listened to, or to know that they're not stressed out for a minute, because that has an impact on you, the patient, instead of having them not just their overall attention, but maybe you want to spend some time with them. Maybe you're freaking tired of the doctor coming in and they're lousy, or they smell funky. They had something weird to eat for lunch and they came into your room, but the nurse comes in and they just literally have this presence like no other. And it's amazing what can
Well,
come out of that.
what I do sometimes too is I make them feel they're important also. So if they are personable and they ask me personal questions, I do the same to them. Even within their job situation, what they have to say is important too. Asking if they're having a good day or how's their family, things like that, and then you tend to turn that temperature in a better direction, I think, and it tends to help overall between both of us.
Yeah, because I think that's, at least for me, the way I look at that moment, being in the exam room, is it's literally a moment of vulnerability. Like that person's coming in, they could have some labs that say you have to go and prick yourself for X number of months from a time after time. But it's interesting to see that this is a distinction that a past guest made, was we have the research to show what you do after you need to be pricked, but they don't have the research as to what 65 or so many years of diet cola can do to you. So it's interesting to see that preventative too, and to see it's not always having to go in when things are wrong. You can properly maintain yourself too. I didn't know if you could share yourself. Do you have anybody in your family that literally lived or was a marvel to you from their existence?
My grandmother lived to be 103, so
Yeah.
she did something right.
Yeah. Wow. 103, folks. 103. Wow. And it's still possible. Was that too long ago? Was it like last decade, would you say, or?
It's been a while. I truly believe, if you have a positive mindset, that does help you health wise, and not being negative about situations and trying to let them go, and avoiding negativity from others. If you can't boost up their spirits or when they're around you, then remove yourself from that situation, and that tends to help me, I think.
Yeah.
Dealing with my health is just avoiding the negativity that could come around you,
Yeah.
be it persons or situations.
Right. Even in the vulnerable moment of being a patient, and not like just even in your daily life is what you're saying too. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's a discipline too, to remember and be cognizant of that each day too. And it's not that it can't be done. It's just interesting to do that. So I guess for me, since you did mention you worked in the educational system, what would be an empowering piece of advice that you'd give to someone looking to go into your line of work? Things to ask prior to employment, things to look for on the job nowadays. And I guess, could you even be more specific? Is there a specific subject that you do interact with and you do provide for students within the educational system?
What do you mean by subject?
Like, are you, what subjects? Yeah, subjects, correct. Yeah, your subject that you teach.
In the education field?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I teach all grade levels, and I am in the art therapy.
Art therapy. Got it. And for those looking to go into that, what would you say if they're looking to go into the educational system and they're looking to give back in that way that you have for how long as you have?
Well, I think it's important that are also a caretaker, caregiver, emotional support, sometimes a parent, sometimes a brother, sister. You're pretty much every type of person that you could think of for that person. You don't know what life situations they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So it takes a lot out of you. So you have to be a really giving person to have a job like that.
Yeah. Wow. Got it. And then if you could, this is part of the show where we close with some empowering quote and or quotes. Lizzie, did you happen to bring some for us?
I do have them. Probably someone won't remember this woman, but if you know anything about the old Western movies, you might. And her quote was, "You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough." And that was a quote by Mae West.
I love it. Oh.
And this is another person that I really enjoy a lot of quotes from, and he's pretty famous. And he went through a lot of difficulties in his life, but strived to not let them bother him. And this quote is, "Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile." And that is by Albert Einstein.
A life lived for others is a life worthwhile.
You only live once, but if you do it... Oh, that's the wrong one.
No, it's okay. No, that one was it. You're doing them both. You're reviewing them both. You only live once, but if you do it right...
Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile.
I dig it.
And I kind of feel my career really speaks of that.
And thank you for standing in the face of disagreement when it comes to self-expression through art. That's one of the big things that pops out, I think, in today's world is being able to express yourself too, whether it's you're a patient or not, just in society in general. And art, I feel, is one of those and has been for thousands of years, the very forefront of that. And to help you live a life that you hopefully only want to live once. Wow. And to live for others. Wow. Right. That's beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us, Lizzie. Appreciate it, everybody. This is the Empower Podcast. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye.